Hi, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my craft room and my YouTube channel. It's lovely to have you join me. I didn't think that I was going to come back and do another video, but I had a couple of bits and pieces to do, and I thought, I'll come and share it with you. I haven't got anything else on the go that I needed to share. I've got things on the go, but nothing that I needed to share. So I thought I'll come and just, keep working on this. I haven't done any more since I last talked to you, but people asked for me to share. So I thought, I will. So I've decided I'm going to do the acorns, some of which may end up getting covered. I'm going to do part of the acorn in this colour and part of the top in this colour, which was a dyed thread of mine. It's a silk thread and it's got a bit more texture than normal, like DMC thread. So, yep, just thought I'd come and have a little chat and share with you where I'm going with this. So what I'm doing is I've decided to just do like a satin stitch for the base of the acorn. This is just a plain DMC thread, and I just thought that would do for this part. My thoughts about the top was to be some thread weaving, so that's going to be the bit that I do next, and then stitch on the leaves prior to doing the rest of the finishing off of the square. Somebody asked what I was going to be doing with it. I've cut all of my pieces into 8-inch squares, taking the pattern with me into that 8-inch, and then I'm going to make a 4-sided Japanese rice bag, and part of the lining, I just thought I'd use calico for the lining, but I'm going to incorporate some of the wording of the story that Susanna created, just to give it some, acknowledge that part of it, of this panel, this whole panel. She's done like what I would call like a little quiet book, like a little fabric book. That's lovely. I didn't necessarily want to do a book, but I thought a Japanese rice bag gives me a vessel to, put my threads in or my fabrics in or whatever. I've done a few others and I'll share with you when I get to the point of actually constructing the rice bag. I'll share with you what I have done. I've done some in sort of Japanese fabrics with the white sashiko running stitch embroidery in the designs. I've done some incorporating some embroidered panels that I had, pieces that I had, and creating them into squares that were designs that were created by Rosalie Quinlan, who has sadly departed us, but her designs I've had for quite some time, her fabric designs. So I've created the bags using her embroidery pieces and her fabrics. So I'll share all those with you when I get to that part of it. But for now, I'm doing the acorns. I'm going to leave I've left that black line visible. Oh, sorry. Yucky looking nail polish. I need to get onto that. I just haven't yet. Sorry. Doesn't look very glamorous, does it? Got a nice little knot going on the back here. Oh dear. Can I get it out or not? I don't know. Let's see how I go. But before I tackle any other project, I just thought this was sitting here on my table, and I thought, before I do anything else, I'll come and share with you where I'm at. Cool. A little bit of brute force goes a long way. Yep. I wasn't going to, and then I thought, I'm doing it. Might as well share with you what I'm doing. Given that people were asking me about that, I thought I'll come and share with you how I'm going about this block. It was interesting to see that both Susanna and Corinne are both working on similar blocks. And, they did theirs back in, I think last year or the start of this year, and here I am doing it now as we speak. But it's amazing, we can all just come up with a slightly different idea. Incredible, isn't it? That everybody, gets something different happening. All right, cool. And that's enough. I'm happy with that. That little bit of satin stitch. Oh, that fingernail polish. I really need to, it's the only one. No, it's a gel coat that takes sort of like, gives me 3 weeks. When you get to be a certain age, your nails discolour, and it's just nice to have something a bit fresher. But it's all right when it doesn't look like that. Sorry. Everything else is all right, but not that one. It's because, you know what I do when I'm stitching? I come in and I catch and I peel it off. Annoying. Sorry. You're having to look at that. I'll try and deal with it. Maybe tomorrow. That might be tomorrow's job. Tomorrow I've got to do cats and chooks again. It's school holidays here, and my daughter and her family have gone away, so I'm on till the weekend. It's only a couple of days, but the cat needs to be fed and talked to, and the chooks need to be checked on, get the eggs. That's all right. That's always a bonus, and they can enjoy my kitchen scraps. So yeah, so that's for the next few days. Friday, what day is today? I don't even know what today is. Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. I'm not sure whether you'll see this tomorrow, which will be Thursday for you. Oh no, Thursday for me. Might not be Thursday for you. Funny, isn't it, how around the world it can be today and you're yesterday. Weird, isn't it? Or tomorrow, whichever. It's a funny thing. I remember going to the States for the first time and arriving before we left. We left like, I don't know, Saturday morning at 9 o'clock or something, and we arrived there at Saturday at 8. So I'm like, oh my God, it's like we've just arrived before we left. How weird was that? Very strange. Anyway, Friday here in Melbourne, in Victoria, is the Australian Quilt Convention. is it a Australian Craft Quilt Fair? Brrr. Don't know what the real name is, something like that, at the Exhibition Buildings in Melbourne, which is an historical building. It's a lovely old building, and they have it there, I think once a year. We have another one in a different place, a more modern venue, but this one is at the Exhibition Buildings. Willie and I are going to go up on the train. She'll come from where she lives, which is about an hour and a half away from me. I'll get the train with her, and then that's another hour and a half before we get to Melbourne. So, yeah, she'll be on the train for that length of time. Oh, an hour and a half? Yeah, hour and a half. And then from the station that we pull in at, which is called Southern Cross, which is in the middle of Melbourne, we then have to catch a tram, which takes us out to where the Exhibition Buildings is, which is probably another, 20 minutes probably on the tram. And then we're going to meet up with our buddies, so a couple of stitching friends and Susanna and her mate. Corinne might be jealous, but that's all right. Yep, we're going to have a wander around the Exhibition Buildings for probably a couple of hours. What I heard from Kate the Nest, she has a quilt on exhibition, so we'll definitely go and have a look at that. I'm going to have a go at doing some videoing. I've never done, in the field videoing. I've only done it here in the safety of my home while, the iPad is stable. And, yep, I thought you might like to see that. I've noticed that lots of people enjoy the sort of like almost travel vlog as well as the stitching stuff. So I want to really have a look at the stalls that have the Japanese fabrics. I don't know why that needle is there. That needle is there for no good reason. I can't see what it should have been in. Yeah, I want to have a look at the stalls, the market stalls at the show that have the things from the Japanese suppliers, because going to Japan, I sort of want to get a bit of a feel on, number one, price. I don't really know. I don't have a good understanding of that. Yeah, sorry. So this is quite variegated, not only in its colour but in the texture. And I thought it would probably suit thread, weaving rather than an embroidery. And it just made me think about it, seeing that cross-hatching there. Anyway, what was I saying? Going to have a look at what the stalls the Japanese suppliers have, because when we go to Japan, we'll go to wholesalers. One of them's called Secret Sewing Supplies or some funny name like that. It's the store. It's the place, I think, where you get, those little knicky-knacks. They have very clever sort of like sewing, not haberdashery, but like sewing implements. Yeah, just going to have a look at that. The day we arrive in Japan, there's a big, trash and treasure type marketplace, and I'll keep my eyes peeled for some vintage, textiles. So I'm looking for sort of like cantha stitched stuff. I'm trying to decide whether I'm actually going to follow those lines and then weave them backwards and forwards that way. I think I'm going to do that. No, let's see what happens. Because this is sort of like got different, you know, it's like almost a different ply because it's a hand, it's probably a hand spun, and it's silk, and it's fairly fragile in some places. Like if you pull it too tight, it will pull apart. Speaking from experience. But it's thread that I've dyed. Yeah, it'll start building up that it'll start to pull apart. So I have to be fairly careful about, you know, here I think if I put too much tension on, I'll just pull it and it would come apart. So I just have to be careful of that. I know I'm just doing this on a whim because I don't really know how it's going to go until I've yeah, see, that's not going to play nicely. We'll get over it eventually. So I'm going to do these bits now. Yeah, maybe will I just do thread weaving? Yeah, let's have a go at that. See what that's like. All right. So, yeah, I'm pulling it through very carefully. I might come back to that. So rather than leave any gaping bits, so I need to come under that. I go back with the eye of the needle because it's not sharp, and that means I won't catch it. Yeah, gonna do that. I'm only going back this way because there was some space left there. All right, over that one, under. So I'll still probably have a little bit of, I'm going to ignore, well, I'm going to go with the black lines a little bit, but ignore some of them because what I want to do, so that's over, under. I'm going to come between the black lines, so I'll do more lines than what there was. I've done acorns in the past and I've filled the top in with French knots, and while that looks lovely, I just thought I would do this a little different. Yeah, so if you just use the end of the needle where the eye is, it's not sharp, pointy, so it doesn't split the stitches. Do I need another one in there? Possibly. Is that going to work? No. Oh, well, let's see how we go. going to come in here. I've just got that gap there. Well, let's just see if I have to come back and add a stitch. I will. Oh, every now and then I get that bit of thread where there's a difference in the thickness. Under. I might have needed another, I might have needed another thread going across here. I might add one. No, it might be all right. Let's keep going. See how we go. Anyway, I hope you're all good. We are. It's been, a bit of family time, bit of friends time. It's school holidays at the minute, and I've had some time with my grandchildren yesterday. Well, granddaughter anyway. Her and I had a bit of a day together and went to see my lovely friend who, the one that I've mentioned a couple of times, who's going through crappy medical stuff. Yeah. There's nothing good about that big C word. It affects everybody. I was, I saw some statistics once about, like, 1 in 4 women. And I started to count all the women, in my life and went, well, gosh, we don't fit that. All of a sudden, bang, I've got a girlfriend and a niece. And that's just like, it totally rocks your boat. But anyway, both are very strong women. But anyway, yeah, that looks pretty good. Can you see it? Let me come right up here where I did that. Let's use this fingernail that doesn't have horrible nail polish on it. There's a little bit of a whoop in there, but it's probably going to get covered. But there we go. That needle weaving has given that nice acorn cap. I quite like the look of that. Good. All right. Well, that was good. That's one. I'll have another go at another one. But now that I know, I was thinking originally that I would only go with the lines that were there, but I need to go between them, so I need to do that as well. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to love and leave you for a minute. I'll keep working on this. I want to stitch down all of these leafy bits, and then I want to add some bits and pieces around here. I want to do some just outline stitch on the little mousey. So I'll come back to you shortly. Okay, back in a sec. Cool. So I've finished both those acorns and I really like the look of them, even though there's going to be a little bit of cover up. They're great texture in there. I've stitched down this one. What I did was I painted the leaves, the original leaf design underneath so that it kind of just looks like a leaf underneath rather than being, just an outline. I'm cool with it. I'm just adding these little overcast stitches throughout to hold the dyed lace down, the dyed lace leaves. And then the next part that I want to do is the mouse. I'll go back over here. So, yeah, you can see sort of what I'm doing here. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm just doing these little overcast stitches because I've picked a thread that kind of blends with the colour. I don't think you can't see it. You can hardly see it anyway. Good. All right, this is where I'm going with it. Got a couple of busy days coming up, and so probably won't get back to sharing anything else with you. Maybe sometime on the weekend, I don't know. Like I said, I'm on Cats and Chooks duty tomorrow, and my mum, God bless her soul, at 91, has decided to sell up and for her and my stepdad to move into, a sort of like retirement village type atmosphere where they don't have a quarter of an acre of land to look after, which has just got beyond them now. He's going to be 95 and she's just turned 91. So tomorrow they wanted me to help them, get all their paperwork printed off and solicitors and, all that sort of stuff. So she's pretty good. She can do most things on her own, but for some funny reason her iPad won't talk to her printer, so she just needs me to do that for her. And as I said, Friday's the craft show. And then it'll be Saturday and Sunday before I know it. It's just, I don't know, day after day just seems to do a disappearing act at the minute, but we've actually still got really nice weather. Cooler at night, and we've gone into out of daylight savings, so we're a little bit lighter in the mornings and it gets darker earlier and the temperature's a little bit different, but we've actually got amazingly still really nice days and some coming up over this weekend. That's just like incredible for this time of year. I mean, given that we're well into April already, normally we're at Easter now, so Easter's quite late. We don't normally have Easter this late. Oh, there's a pin in there. Gosh, get rid of him before I stitch him in there. So whether that's got anything to do with it, I don't know. But, God, we've camped at Easter where it's been, pouring with rain, and we've had campfires, and one time we did that and we all got, got the flu. Freezing cold weather. Oh, not this time of the year. It's really warm. Yeah, that's kind of a bit weird. I'd just like to not really cover that acorn up, given I did all that work, but I don't want to cover the mushroom up as well. A bit of a... Yep, so all I'm doing is really just putting those little overcast stitches in to hold the lace down, and I want to do some outlining on the toadstool stalks like I did here. Can you see that little bit of dark outline? I want to do the same down that one and this one and this one. And maybe even a bit up there. I did it down here. I did it because that stem there is for this toadstool and this one in the back here is this toadstool. So yeah, I just like to define that a little bit just to give it a bit of definition. And I think that looks good around there. So I want to keep that look and then get round to the mousey. So when I get to that point, I'll come back to you. Okay, talk to you in a sec. Okay, so I've finished all stitching down all the leaves. I did change colour for this bit here because the orange just looked like stood out and didn't look good, so I changed that. I've laid out some fabric scraps to just give it a little bit of border, and I'm just going to go and do this outline here and the little mouse. So the thread that I previously used on here was this one, which I've not got heaps of it left. This is a thread that comes already pre-cut. It's the Cottage Garden threads, and I've got it on this thread holder. And by just picking up one thread, yeah, I think I'm just going to have one thread, and you can pull it out. The rest will just stay there. So yeah, just does that, and just with a slip knot to hold it into the holes, and then because they're already pre-cut, I'm going to do that with some of the ones that I've dyed. I had to cut them off the skein because the skein had got itself in such a twist that I actually couldn't continue to wind it off. So some of my dyed threads are actually now going to be pre-cut. These ones here, because that's the only way that I could do it. So yep, that's what I'm doing with that. Anyway, that's beside the point. Oh gosh, did I just pick up the needle as well? Yes, that was clever. Cool. All right, so I'm coming to an end with this. I'm just going to do a stem stitch. So that's going forwards and back. I'm going to whip across here and do the same thing here. And while, it's not a big statement, it's just something, just helps to define it a little bit, I think. Gives a little bit of shadow, a bit of depth. All right, I'm going to finish that off there. You can probably hardly see it, but I can certainly see it. Trying to decide whether I might go around there. No, I don't think I will. I think that's all right. Just sort of really doing these funny little final sort of things with you. Just so you know what I'm doing. Oh, no one threaded it. Always happens when I get in a rush, because I think, I need to hurry and show you so that this video doesn't go for like forever. And then, yeah, I unthread it and do crazy things. I suppose I could have used, all right, so that's got a thread around it, has it? Oh yeah, it's gone into that colourway. All right, because it's variegated thread, you get different shadings. But just so you can see my thoughts about how I'm finishing off these. All right, so yep, that one's got a little bit of outline there. That one's already got some outline, so they're all right. Every little stitch, even though it's 1 or 2 stitches, just adds to the end result and what the overall picture looks like. And yeah, I think, you know, sets it. It's sort of kind of like floating in midair at the minute, and hopefully that will look like that too. All right, so this little mushroom probably doesn't need anything there because it's like tucked in under the leaf, but I'm going to give him a bit here on the side here. It's got this really, I'm going to trim off some of that. It's kind of like, it's just the frayed edge of the fabric. It was a bit too fray, a bit too long. Where this is this black line here that I'm following was the original outline of that little mushroom stalk. So I'm going to take it down, even though there's a leaf colour there. I'm just going to take it down into there. Instantly now it looks like a mushroom stalk. I might actually I might put a bit of thread in here, even though it can hardly be seen, but what a difference that one little line made there. Just suddenly it became a mushroom or toadstool, whatever. I'm going to put them there, even though they may not be completely visible. Oh no, they're probably not. Anyway, I know I did it. I just keep finishing it off because I don't want to carry it all the way across because of the thread's not that long. Just me being crazy. Don't want to keep rethreading it all the time. All right, come down the side of this one. And so it variegates from sort of like a reddish colour to a grey, but it goes through a bit of a neutral sort of colour as well. All right, and that's that. But this one goes across the top here. So I'm actually going to follow that. That was like one of those sort of frills that I just used some crocheted sort of like trim. It's just going to bury itself. It's probably not going to add a lot of definition. A little bit. All right, I'm going to come down here because that's the same piece sort of growth on the toadstool. I'll keep coming around there. It's just like an outline. It's not supposed to be anything in particular other than, you know, it just defines the shape really. Good. And then I'll come back up here. Oh no, I'm going to keep going. I thought that leaf was going to cover it too much, but I don't think it is. All right. And then come up here. Just going to catch those fluffy bits on the side. Good. So that's that one. Yep. That's all right. Need a new bit. You can always see it when it gets away from you and when it's up, you know, up in your face. So I need a bit down here, a bit down here, and then I need to go around the mousey. All right. You know, you could see what I was doing. I'll keep working on that. Come back to do a final sort of little bit with you, but the majority of it is not going to be done. You won't see. Oh, you might see the final thing as a, you know, as a thumbnail. Back in a sec. Okay, I've started to work on the little mouse, and you know, I hope that you can see the difference between there and here. I've done mostly a split back stitch. I've done a little bit of stem stitch occasionally, just because it's a little bit thicker in places if I do that. You know, just depends what sort of thickness of line that I want. I'm just using a single strand of thread, but I'm really, and it's this sort of like, it's kind of like a steely sort of colour. It's not black. It's not really grey. Well, it is very dark grey. It is. I just prefer that to black, even though that the drawing is black. I like that sort of grey colour for just softens it a little bit. It's not, doesn't look like sort of a cartoon. Then, you know, like a child's colouring book, I didn't want it to have that look, but I didn't want to take away from the you know, the hand-drawn sketch look either. So yeah, I think the grey is just the better alternative. I was just trying to work out whether this paw was to the front, and I think it is, and that one's to the back. So I just made that little paw come a little bit on top of that toadstool there, just those lines, and all I did with the tail was one line. I didn't do the other line in there. It's, you know, it's disappeared. So I'm just going to do a bit of back stitch, split back stitch here, because it's not big enough for a stem stitch, and I can't get a neat enough look to it. And then really after this, I've only got then the, you know, the canter stitch to hold down these little background bits. So yeah, I'm nearly done with this panel. So that'll be 2 out of 4. going to just come up and put those little bits in here. They're just fairy bits. Oh, see, I just like jab myself here. It's not on my fingernail, it's on my thumb itself. All right, a little bit of fur. Sorry, that's the telly you can hear. It's not like there's a major disaster going on in the area. You might be able to hear the crickets. The crickets are really loud tonight because it's like, I think it's just because the weather's been a bit warmer. The crickets have got a very loud voice out there in the garden. For some funny reason, I can just see these dark lines here that I actually painted over. But once you do that out, those little outline stitches, it really, it brings it back to life. Really happy with the look of that. I'll do some whiskers. Just back to where I started. Another little bit of stitch in here, sort of like his little mouth. Yep, and his little cheek. I think it's his cheek. A little stitch in there. Yep. And now his whiskers. And then he'll be done. And that's going to be me. I'm going to sign off. I think you've seen that burrow stitch or canthus stitch, whatever. I think you've seen that lots of times. Lots of people do it. I'm going to do a running stitch that goes all the way across and then stop and start, but just enough to hold down this to the backing. Gives it that, just gives it a nice texture. I'll do it on the sides, which is what I did with the rabbit one, the top and the bottom. Hold down those little bits of extra fabric. And we'll be done. Panel 2. Panel 2, I don't know what to call it. I think it's a panel. Yeah, look how good it is. When you get away from it, I'm look how good it is, she says. I'm happy with it. I think it looks all right. I hope you think it looks all right. I think it looks pretty good. Good. All right, so like I said, I'm just going to do the borrow stitching in lines. I'll do some around here. Again, some, that I can keep going, but miss. I'm not going to go over any of this part here. Just, to hold it down. Cool. Alrighty. I'll take a photo of it because it's really it's probably going to be finished, not tonight. It's got a bit late now. But probably tomorrow. Cool. Alrighty. That's me. That's my little toadstools and mouse panel done. Hope you're having fun. Okay, talk to you again very soon. Bye. Well, I decided that I'd come back and share this last little bit with you simply because I'd done this one without any interaction on my videos, and I thought that I'd come and just show you the processes of how I got to where I got. Oh, and I got this one out doing a double check. Can you believe I used exactly the same? And I hadn't even realised that I'd done that. I need to go and find that little fabric again. It's hiding somewhere in my stash. But anyway, never mind. I'm going to cover it. But before I do that, I was just going to show you how I did this canthus style stitching from one side to another. So I've done all across the top, I've done the sides, and I've come across the bottom. So I've just got this little bit here to do. And it's the reason that I'm showing you really is because I skip bits. I don't do that where I've got all of this going on. So yeah, so hopefully you don't mind that I did come back, but I kind of thought, well, for the next panel, I won't show you this part. We'll talk about whatever it is. I'm going to scoot under the little mouse because this is going to be lined. As a bag, it'll have a piece of fabric here. So any long stitches like that one just was that went under the mouse is, oh, sorry, you can see. Sorry, let me see where you are. Yeah, any long stitches are not going to come to any grief. You're not going to get caught on anything. The other thing that I wanted to tell you about, which I'd forgotten right at the start, was that when I cut the squares, I used some glue. So that art glitter glue happened to be somebody had some at the retreat. I don't have it, but I've got like a PVA, and I thought for the next one I'll do the same thing. So it's just on the very, very, very edge, which bothers me now because I possibly won't be able to iron that black mark out. It'll just be part of the design. I intend to, when I'm joining them, use a blanket stitch to join the panels. That's how I've done my other ones, so I thought I'll do the same for this. Yeah, but anyway, I noticed that in one of Susanna's videos, when she was working on her panels, the fraying was really becoming a problem because it's, this gorgeous piece of linen. I lost my thimble. Oh, God, I do that so often. Yeah, there we go. Brain just left for a moment. Okay, so now I'm just going to come here. If you're really bothered, I've said this before about straight lines rule them. I'm not terribly bothered about if they go straight or not. I kind of think they nearly do. But if you got out a ruler, they probably don't really. But they're straight enough for my liking of this. So yeah, like I said, I used the art glitter glue, and that certainly reduced, well, I haven't got any fraying of the background linen piece. Or you could just do a zigzag on your machine or an overcast stitch or something to help that if you were going to be cutting yours up as well. But it was just that somebody happened to have it at the retreat, and somebody said something about, at the time I think I was the only one cutting mine out. Everybody else was managing to do theirs in one piece, and I was struggling with that. I just, for what I wanted to do with it, I was like, oh. Anyway, that's all right. That was me and my struggle. So I cut it and then went, oh, that was a bit silly. It's going to fray. And, as I said, that's the beauty of when you're sitting around with a group of women or people, it doesn't have to be women, who have very, have lots of experience or, really good ideas to share with each other. I think that's probably one of the nicest things about going to retreat is that camaraderie that you develop, but you learn so much from each other. So, yeah, there we go. That's me, but I'm going to add some extra embellishment on here. So there you go. That's how I'm doing that. I'm going to add that little bit of lace there over the word. Didn't think that I needed to repeat the word adventure twice. And silly me, should have looked at it, and no wonder I liked it because I've now used it twice. So I'm just going to put a bit of trim here and piece of dyed lace, I thought, just as a bit of extra here. Because I'm using laces and threads and things that I've dyed, things tend to go together. Cool. All right. There we go. That's what this panel is going to look like. I'm going to finish doing 2 or 3 rows here, stitch this on, take a photo, and Bob's your uncle. Cool. All right. And then it'll be on to thinking about what I'm going to do for the next one. I'm going to cut this one out here. I think that's what I'm going to do. It's a tricky one because I've got this leaf one as well. And then this one. Yeah. Oh, and this one. Oh, good. I've got 3. Have I? Yes. So I've got 4 actually. Got this one, which is a little one. This is a little one, and it's only because the words are there. And this one. So those 3 together. Well, surely I might do that one next, so you know what I'm talking about. So those 3 can go on here together as in a design manner. And then just looking, I wonder about I got all gung-ho and sewed it all down. I'm gonna carefully cut out the words so that I'm not getting rid of too much of this plain fabric space. Yep. Alrighty. Stay tuned. That's what's going to happen in my next video. Might do that today. Feel like doing some stitching today. Cool. All right. I'll catch you again. Thanks for joining in. Bye for now.